Alright, welcome to episode 4. These are the intermediate tricks. So intermediate tricks, the reason why they're not like the basic ones is because they require a bit more practice than the beginner tricks. And I'm going to start with like the easier tricks and then build up to the harder tricks. Some of these will be a lot easier for other people, some of them will be a lot harder for other people, but it's really just finding what vibes with you and what you like to do and what you think looks really cool. So I'm going to show the trick and then, I'm going to talk to you about how to do the trick and how to progress in doing the trick. So let's go. Alright, so for the first intermediate trick I'm going to teach you is called the crossfoot. Whereas if you're doing regular, like say you got your Heely positions going on, you're going to take your front foot and you're going to cross it over your second foot. That's why it's called the crossfoot. It's really difficult. You're going to trip up if you hit something. Make sure that you can sort of bounce your way out. Of course, wear protection because this one will make you fall pretty quickly. So I'll just show you how to do it. So pretty simply, if you're riding your Heelys, you sort of bring your other foot over and then try and bring it back. It seems really simple until you start doing it, and especially whenever you start doing it with a little bit of speed. A lot of these tricks that I'm going to show you, you sort of have to be going, have some momentum when you're doing them. Some of them are like a little bit more difficult to do if you're just standing still. So, alright, I'll show you how to do it. Alright, time for a bit of an impressive trick. It's really simple to do, and it's actually a great way to start to learn how to do one-footed tricks. It is called the toe drag. Some Heelys aren't necessarily built for this. Like if you have forces, they have like that small little piece of plastic on the front that will rip off a little bit, so you want to be very light with your back foot. But other than that, a lot of these Heelys, like, they'll go through it. And don't be afraid to destroy your Heelys, of course, because otherwise, you won't be able to get cool new ones, right? But anyways, the toe drag's pretty simple. You have your front foot, then you have your back foot, and then while you're riding, you take your back foot, and then you lift it up, and you put your toe back. So you end up sort of sliding along. So I'll show you what that looks like. And then another thing is, like with your front foot, it might even be a little bit easier to learn this trick to let your heel drag on the ground. As you get a little bit better, you don't need to touch your heel on the ground at all. So it's pretty simple. Yeah, a little bit of Michael Jackson in there, never killed anybody. Pretty simple trick nonetheless. Alright, so this will be about one footing, or just doing it on one foot. Some people call it like a manual or whatever. But, you call it a manual. Let's just call it a manual for this one video. But as you're learning the one foot, it's a good way to practice it is to start with the toe drag and then lift up your back foot. And it'll still get you the same sort of balance that you need if you've sort of been keeping a lot of light toe so that you don't like mess up your Heelys or anything like that. Then lifting it up will be absolutely no issue. And then you'll start to see that, like, as you're going, you don't want to like press your foot forward too much because then you won't have any like stabilization. So the greatest way to learn how to do it is actually to just slide your heel brake on the ground, and it'll actually keep you like a lot more stable. Then as you sort of learn how to do it, you can sort of get a little bit more wobbly and keep strength in your leg. So with all that in mind, let's show you how to sort of progress into doing one-footed. So of course you start with the toe drag, then as you do it, you just sort of do a lot of repetitions of this, and feel free to use the heel brake. And then you can sort of go for a lot longer, so I'm going to go a little bit further back. And you do a couple of different things with like your left leg, like you put it in front of you or behind you, just to make it look a little bit more impressive. And of course, you can always do that one cool thing people do. But don't fall. Alright, so we're going to brush over different and cool ways to stop while you're heeling. So a lot of it, you know, if you just like walk off, of course is a great way to stop. You know, just start running, that's a good way to stop. But to really impress some people, you got to do something different. So there's like 3 different tricks to learn how to do. There's a ton of different ones, like you do like 180 and figure out how to do these in all different ways. But I'm just going to explain the simple ones, and then I'm going to explain the one-footed variations. So the first one is the sonic stop. Sonic stop, you just go forward, you put both your heels up, and you sort of create a V formation with your hands, or with your whole body. So I'll show you what that looks like. You can almost hear the rings ringing, but I'm going to do it with a little bit more speed so you can sort of see what it looks like. It's pretty fun to do. Alright, the next trick is going to be the split stop, where it's similar to the sonic stop where you use your heels to brake, but instead of keeping your feet together, you let them split apart. And then, right after that, you could sort of bring them back together, which is going to be very difficult, I'm just telling you right now, and it'll start to make you go backwards. It's a good way to transition your forward tricks to go into backwards tricks, if you have any. So, I'll show you what it looks like. So similar to the sonic stop, make a little star, and then as you're doing this, a good way to practice going backwards, sort of start in a little V formation, you do that. These are a couple of tricks that you actually want to have both your feet together. But yeah, I'll show you what it looks like from a distance. Also, be a little wary of not doing the splits. That's sort of why it's called the split stop. Alright, so the next trick we're going to learn how to do is called the twist stop. So twist stop is pretty simple for people that like to spin around on their heelys, and sometimes it's even like you learn how to do it by yourself. So pretty much what the trick is you do a 180 and then you stop with your toes, and then you sort of slide along the ground. It looks really cool. I think it's really impressive for a lot of people, and I've honestly heard that some people want to learn how to do heelys just because they've seen me do this trick. Now, that's enough of a intro for me. And you can sort of experiment with switching your feet as you're stopping, or even lifting one of your foot up. Which brings me to my next topic. 1-foot variations of the sonic, split, and twist stop. Though I think that the sonic one and the split one are sort of very similar, though bringing out your foot whenever you're doing it sort of causes like a bit more of a rotation as you do it, which can sort of lead into, I guess, twist stops, but it's all good. So with the sonic one, it's pretty simple. You go forward, you hit your one foot, and then you bring your knee up. So as you're doing it, you sort of look like a crane, I guess. Yeah, I'll just show you what it looks like. So as you go, you stop with one foot, and you bring up your other feet. It's pretty simple. You know, learning how to do one-footed, if you do this after learning how to do one-footed, it's a lot easier. Though with all these tricks, you know, when you're doing one-footed, there's a lot of chances that you're going to fall backwards. So just be wary if there's any gravel on the ground or if there's leaves. So, yeah. Alright, next one is the twist stop one-footed. You can either twist with one foot and then stop, or you can do the whole 180 and then stop with one foot. Both ways are right, technically, but you know, there's a little bit of difficulty variation. If you spin with one foot, it's a lot more difficult, and that's one of the advanced tricks. So, you know, we're just gonna go into, you know, backwards one foot stops after spin. Alright, so next one we're going to talk about is fake walks. So there's sort of 3 different kinds of fake walks, and the reason why I call them fake walks is because as you're going, you sort of have to go back and forth with your feet as if you're walking, but it looks a little bit different than what you would regularly see. So that's why I call them like fake walks or anything. You know, some people could find up a better name, you know. I'm just the guy trying to name everything. It's not my specialty, I guess. But first one's very simple. If you saw the last one of the beginner tricks, it's the shuffle walk. And you're just going forward and you're shuffling. I just think I explained it a little bit in that video. I can show you what it looks like real fast. But I'll do that in a bit. Next one is going to be the glide walk, which is sort of similar to the shuffle, except instead of keeping both your heels up, in between, you're touching your toe down, so you're sort of walking and sliding. So you walk, or you put your foot forward, touch your toe to the ground, slide your back, touch your toe to the ground once it's in front, and you sort of waddle in a way. But it looks like you're just gliding along the ground. So I'll show you what that one looks like. I'll show you the shuffle real fast, and then I'll do the glide walk. Can't really help doing a dance when you're doing the shuffle. Next one's the glide walk. Of course, you can practice this while you're standing still, because it's almost like walking, and I'd actually recommend starting off that way. But remember, it's front foot forward, you touch your toe down, bring up your other foot, and you can touch your toe down again, bring up your other foot, touch your toe down, bring up your other foot, touch your toe down. And you just do this over and over again. And it looks like you're just gliding on the ground. I think it's super fun. Alright. So the next trick is called the slide walk. And it's sort of, it's one of the more difficult fake walks to do. The way I would describe it is sort of, it looks like you're just gliding on the ground, which is really cool. You're walking, and the reason why it's different than the glide walk is because you're lifting up your foot between each transition. For the most part, you're just going to have one foot on the ground the whole time, because as you're sort of transitioning off, you push, and then you go one foot. You push, and then you go with the other foot. Push, one foot, push, one foot, push, one foot. And if you do it properly, if you're lifting up your legs and all that kind of stuff, it sort of looks like you're just gliding on the ground just a little bit more, a little bit more. And sort of difficult to learn, but hopefully I'll just do a little demonstration, and then I'll show you what it looks like when you're going around. Alright. So you push, you go 1 foot, touch your toe to the ground, push, step back a little bit, push 1 foot, push 1 foot, push 1 foot. And it looks a little something like this as your motion. So I think it looks really cool. So hopefully you enjoyed this. We're gonna do some backward tricks and then moonwalks and the illusions. The next 2 fake walks. Alrighty. So the next fake walk is called the moonwalk. Moonwalk's a little, it's very similar to a glide walk, wherever you're sort of grabbing and you're sort of just sliding along, except you're going backwards. Of course, everyone's going to ask you to do a moonwalk. It's like one of the best tricks that I think everyone wants to see, because, you know, oh, you can ride Heelys, you can go backwards, but can you moonwalk? It's like, then I sort of ask, oh, you want to see the Michael Jackson moonwalk, or you want to see the Heely moonwalk? And I'm like, it's a fun little conversation I normally have whenever I'm doing Heelys. Yeah, take notes, kids. But pretty simple, you know. You glide backwards, toe down, push, toe down, push, toe down, push. And learning this trick is a great way to start off any sort of like trick in general. Like if you're standing towards somebody and then they're like, oh, let me see you Heely, so I just do a little bit of a moonwalk and then I sort of turn around and do my little trick lines. It's one of the tricks that I do almost every day. It's a staple, and I think in most healing, which is just me, but yeah. Pretty simple. You push back, you push back. Fun little trick. As you're going backwards, you know, there's a ton of cool different things you can learn. Practically all the tricks that you learn going forward, you can do backwards. There's not really, the sky's the limit. There's no real way to stop you from doing those tricks. So some things to think about when you're going backwards is like if you hit something like a crack or a rock or whatnot. So as you're going backwards, if like your back foot hits a rock or it falls into a crack, you want to lift your front foot up and immediately bring it back. And then as you're sort of doing it, you'll end up lifting this up, and it'll allow you to keep going backwards, and you'll stay relatively safe. Of course, as you're going backwards, you're not going to be looking too much, unless you're like doing this and breaking your neck or like turning all the way, which will sort of cause you a bit of a drift if you're turning too much out. But yeah, it's pretty simple. We're going to talk about self-propel techniques. So what separates the self-propel from a lot of the other tricks is that instead of touching the ground or like skipping or walking on the ground, that you actually never touch your toes to the ground and you're only using the wheels to continue to move. There's about 3 different big ones to learn besides the one going backwards, which is the snake self-propel, the crescent self-propel, and then the skate self-propel. So in the beginner video I sort of explained the snake, which looks like this. The crescent is almost, it's very similar to the snake, but as you go out, you bring your other foot up, you sort of do this and sort of half circles with your feet. And then the skate self-propel is if you've ever rollerbladed or you've done quads or inline skating. It's very similar, where you bring your foot out and you push off, and then you bring your other foot and you push off, and you sort of do that, which is a little bit different. But starting off, I'll just re-show you this snake self-propel, and then I'll show you the crescent. All right. So snake self-propel, of course, you're going to be like a snake. You're going to move back and forth. A lot of it is with the strength of your front foot, and you're letting your back foot lead. It doesn't matter which foot you're doing it on. I recommend doing it on both. Of course, you got to learn to switch. You got to, you don't want to be lopsided with one giant ass arm and with the other one just limpy and skimpy. But yeah, we're just gonna do the snake self-propel. So the way to learn this one is very simple. Bring your foot out, or with your other foot like this. But you stand still. Sort of bring it out, bring it in, bring it out, all that kind of stuff. This is the other way around, out, in. And as you do this, you touch your foot to the ground, and you can sort of feel that your wheel is pushing you forward. So, some good ways to practice this is if you want to start by already be going forward, and then you can sort of feel it out. Or if you want to just be really impressive, you start by standing still. So I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, and that's snake self-propel. Next one will be the Crescent self-propel. And the reason why it's important to learn the snake self-propel first is because the Crescent is very similar to the snake, where you're sort of bringing your foot out, but you're switching with your other foot. And you sort of bringing it out, bringing it out, bringing it out. And you're using the wheels to push you forward. So I'll show you what that looks like. So you bring it out, and then you bring it out. I'll show you what it looks like from a distance. Alright, so the next one is the skate self-propel, where you bring your foot out and then you sort of just push it behind you. So while your wheel is sideways, it won't roll forward, so it just sort of pushes you along. It doesn't matter if your wheel is like perfectly 90 degrees from your body, but just a little bit enough so that it's not pushing you forward. So the way to do this, you turn out toe, stretch it out back. Right toe, stretch it out back. I'll show you what it looks like. I have a little bit more luck with this trick if I'm leaning down a little bit more. It sort of allows me to be a bit more flexible. Alright, and the next one is the shuffle self-propel. It's a bit more of a joke one, but still possible to do. But it's pretty much you just shuffle, as I've taught before, and then you just turn your feet out a little bit more, and it allows you to go forward. So of course, and then you just do it going forwards. So, the last trick to learn how to do in the intermediate tricks is the bunny hop. I've saved the hardest for last. So, bunny hop is it's different from anything else. You just take both of your wheels, they're on the ground, you're not using any of your toe for this, and with the pure strength of your knees and your legs, you stretch out and bring your feet up and land. It's really difficult, because what you don't really understand about like regular jumping and whatnot is that jumping requires a lot of foot strength. So you press your feet up against the ground and it springboards you up. But since you're not using your toes and you're just using your heels, you're not going to go very high. It's very difficult, so you need a lot of leg strength. So I'll show you how to do it. Both feet out, you bend down, and you want to land back on your heels, which is going to hurt whenever you first start off. It requires a lot of strength, and you'll sort of feel it in your teeth. It's terrible, but it's a good way to learn how to like jump off of different things, like if you're trying to learn how to do stairs and whatnot, and to make it look a little bit more impressive than jumping off of them. And landing, it's a good way to sort of build up your strength to like hitting the ground and also just jumping with your heels. So I'll show you a couple of those. And it looks really stupid, but it's super impressive whenever you know how to do it. Everyone else thinks it looks stupid, but it's hard to do. But that's it. All right, and with that, I believe that concludes all the tricks for the intermediate. Pretty much the only thing that I would really ask for anyone to do watching these videos is like, subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. But what's more important to me other than that is that we bring back Heelys with grind plates. There's going to be a link in the description that's will send you to the little forum on heelys.com that's impossible to find, but it'll practically tell you like, oh, if you want Heelys, what size did you get with grind plates, and yada yada yada, and how old are you, and all that kind of stuff. Send as many people to that as possible, because right now they don't sell Heelys with grind plates, and they haven't done that since around 2016 when they stopped in production. Heelys sort of owns the rights to soap shoes, which is the people that make the grind plates inside of them. And soaps is sort of, you know, they haven't been making those for a very long time. They're very expensive. If you wanted to buy a pair of Heelys with soap grind plates on them, nowadays they'll cost around like $300 to $600. So I think it's an outrageous price, especially considering that they don't fit me. They only go up to size 10.5. So I'm trying to bring them back, and hopefully in adult sizes, to really push what Heelys can do, because I want to be able to do it down rails and jump off stairs and do cool stuff with rails that they used to be able to do back in like 2008 to 2016, I believe. And yeah, the only way to do it right now is with a pair of skids grind plates. They're great, but they come off the shoes a little bit too much, and they hinder the skating, and it takes a lot out of what makes Heelys Heelys. So if you could do that for me, just go down and sign up for a pair of Heelys with grind plates. Other than that, this is Matt Kane. This has been Intermediate Tricks with him, and thanks for watching.